Я подтверждение ситуации передаю настройку. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, AK heads, we are back with another edition of the Talking Lead AK Korner, presented by Pioneer Arms Corp. This is part 6, and it is going to be a doozy. I mean, you guys thought last month's AK Korner was awesome with Jim Fuller. This one gets triple the what would you call it? Greatness?
Triple greatness, triple threat, triple
threat,
triple shit, triple
badassery.
So shit's about to happen.
So we brought Jim back, and Jim came full force and brought some friends with him. Jim, you want to introduce your buddies that you brought along for this episode of AK Korner?
I brought along, I guess. Okay, well, this gentleman right here, this would be Mr. Travis Haley. I think people might know who he is. And, of course, this little fella here, Sasquatch.
You've heard that name, yeah.
This is Brian Keeney right here.
Brian Keeney of OCCAM Defense. He's no stranger to the Talking Lead podcast. He was on our Black Friday Cyber Monday edition, and was talking about some awesome stuff that they've got going on. I know some of you lead heads took advantage of that. But the other gentleman that you mentioned there, Travis Haley, very well known. I know all you lead heads are familiar with Travis Haley. But just for those people who have been living in closet, Brian, why don't you give Travis a little ingratiation there?
Yeah, sure. Travis was one of the first people that I came across for training, and really found his doctrine to be incredible. I can't believe it's taken this long to train with him. He's former MARSOC. He's ex-Blackwater, was on the Bremer detail. YouTube famous for a Najaf firefight, where he's smoking fools out at, 1,000 yards or something. It's a pretty extraordinary video. There's a bunch of other stuff like that. He's sort of Mr. Speed in the gun world.
Kind of sudden, isn't he? A little sudden.
Yeah, he's very agile, precise. He's sort of the scientist, thinking man of the gun training world, and does involve a lot of scientific instrumentation, and he feeds that back into his training methodology. Very interesting individual, highly intelligent, a lot of fun to take a class from.
Very cool. So as you guys may surmise, our topic is going to be training this episode, among other things, but we're going to target the training. Just so happens that these guys are on a lunch break from one of Travis's training classes right now. What course are you guys doing?
Well, hey, first off, thanks for having me on, man. This is a great opportunity, perfect timing, obviously. And we're sitting here doing a D5 AK course. Our D5 programs are our disruptive science programs, all right? And that's and it's not just a catchphrase that people try to turn this shit into. It's about taking what we already do and use on a daily basis. We commit our lives at my company and my staff. Like Brian was saying, we put a lot of tools and a lot of people to work. Spend a lot of time and a lot of money on trying to find answers that are a lot of times we think we have to reach for when they're actually right in front of us.
Right.
Things like kinesiology and understanding a little bit more about biomechanical efficiency. When people say I'm Mr. Speed, I laugh. I'm like, look, I just maximize the law of least effort, man. I'm actually just lazy.
Take the path of least resistance. Hell yeah.
That's right. And of course, there are times we have to move. We have to use a little bit more force. We have to understand how we work. So we like to study human engineering, and that's what we, again, in our labs, do a lot of these tests with our psychologists, doing physiological testing and body alarm response studies, and actually get to test them. We don't just read books or talk to doctors. We actually have systems in place that we can actually read, for your heart rate variability, what physiological stressors are your brain waves actually stressed, and we have the capability to actually tweak people's brain waves in our labs, in our Scottsdale headquarters. So again, we take a lot of those things, and then to, of course, take our experiences, combine that with our research, and then of course our failures that we found that help us create success, and we share that with people, and that's what this 3-day format is about out here.
So that's going to be a whole nother show we have Travis on, is we're going to talk about his labs. That sounds just damn interesting right there. I'd love to hear more about that.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it helps. It prevents us from falling into our own preconceived notions or patterns or experiences or recipes or hey, the so-and-so shooting method. A lot of stuff is branded, and that's fine. I mean, we all love brands, right? We're brands ourselves. But when we start branding things we didn't invent, I kind of step back and go, wait a minute, I shouldn't say that. Words have meaning, for example, or, the so-and-so shooting method. That's why you'll never hear of the Haley strategic shooting method, because there's no such thing. It's because I didn't invent gravity. I didn't invent friction or leverage or biomechanics. I just simply study them on a daily basis and then figure out a better way to.
The whole thing that you guys offer, again, that's something that I want to get into with you maybe in another episode, and you've got more time. I know you guys are limited on time, and we want to get into the training. So talk more about your D5 Kalash class in particular. And where's it at?
So,
you're in Las Vegas?
We're in Las Vegas. Yep, we're in Las Vegas. We're at Pro Gun Club for this course, and so it's a combined thing. Jim and I do this every year, and he'll do his build class, and then we'll have a lot of crossover with his guys coming into our class, and so it gives them the opportunity to run their gun they just built and see how it plays out.
Perfect complement to one another. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's been a very popular thing, so we do it every year around this time, back to back like this.
Yeah, so it's a really diagnostic course, both I think mechanically and mentally, physically as well. But like when and AKs are a little bit different than the AR world, right? The ARs are they're Legos, man. There's a complex way to build them. A lot of people will talk trash about ARs or talk trash about AKs. It's like, look, I love everything. I pick up any gun and shoot it because it's just an awesome thing to do that, and to have as much knowledge as possible about every weapon system you pick up. That's what makes you better in life if you consider yourself a shooter. You're more well versed. And a lot of people say, well, you're overthinking it, man. Just pick one thing and stick with it. It's like, well, that's not me. Number one, I'm not that kind of person. I'm a quick starter. I don't have a preferred gun that I go to all the time. So, but it's me, right? I'm the one that makes it run the gun. So that's what the course is about, is we start with the basic principles of us, like understanding ourselves first before the rifle. And I think the emphasis out there in today's community is all about technical, tactical, physical, and this and that. It's like, no, let's that's the tip of the iceberg. Let's look at what's underneath the water just waiting to come out. And that's us, man. That's the science behind what we do. So we share that in this class from starting on day one with zero. We're talking about the zero in a gun, and our zero is a little bit different. And Brian can probably talk to that, or Jim, but it's we don't just go out to 25 meters and shoot a gun and say, okay, we're good, let's go run some fast drills. We spent most of the half of the day or more, zeroing the gun back to 200 meters. And if I had a bigger range, I'd go even further, because that's truly doping the gun, right?
Right.
No, I know that. You had us shooting at 750 yards down in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah, and if we have the range, we'll do that. Every shooter in a class, I got 25 people. They'll all go and push the guns out to 600-700 meters if we have the capability to do it. And they're shocked at how easy it is once we've doped the gun, looked at the math, and now you have a very simple template. And it's not mine. It's you actually get to have. It's an experiential zero is what I call it. Mm-hmm. And then you get to learn your dope for your gun. So we start with that, and then we go into biomechanics. We talk about stance and feel and how leverage helps us versus not using good leverage, like bending versus leaning. Words have meaning. And then we start going into a little bit of ocular science, talking about the eyes and how we work so we can pick up targets faster, how we can move our bodies faster. We can see the forest as we need and increase our reaction times. And then we get into trigger control principles, a little bit of math, a little bit of neuromuscular timing and things like that. And so it's an old school traditional AK course with a modern science flair on it, man, I guess, to simplify it.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Yeah. The one thing I would say about Haley's courses versus anything else out there is it's a very balanced Western approach to an Eastern gun. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of training out there that tries to, the term I use is like M4 the AK. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And they're not the same gun. They can't be ran the same way, and they need to be looked at a different way. And this class, the D5 class itself, of all the different AK training that I've done personally, this seems to bring all those items together better, melding with our Western mindset than most of the other stuff I've seen. Not that the other training I've had is bad. It's just that this really does seem to be a very comprehensive approach to learning this weapon system and applying the principles that we all know and are used to.
There's a reason why we say thinkers before shooters. It's really a thinking course, and it's also a shooting course, is how I describe it, because of other people's feedback. We tend to, again, focus on the gun too much, and it's not about that. It's about understanding us, and then
it's the person. You can take your philosophies and apply that to any firearm, pretty much.
Right. It's like the debate between M4s or AKs. Okay, well, this sucks, that sucks. It's like, okay, guys, come on, it's a high school argument. Why are we even having?
They're the two best guns in the world.
Who gives a shit? Number one, and they're like, well, I'll show you with my AK. I'm like, all right, let's go. I start pacing the shit off, and then they're like, oh, wait, let's not do that. So it doesn't matter.
It still comes down to the man or the woman.
Yeah, there's a really cool this zeroing process that Travis did. He's a trained sniper, as I understand it, and
word on the streets says that, right?
Yeah. And what I've read about with sniper schools is doing cold bore shots every morning, and that is exactly the way he starts the day. And there's this awful epithet.
The first day is zero.
Yeah, well, and sorry, I should have said, what I meant to say is we'd repeat the zero every morning with the cold bore. And the cold bore part is not so much what I'm interested in. It's the repetitions of doing it 3 days in a row. You start to really get a feel for what's going on with your rifle at extended ranges. And it's a practice. It's not just a thing that you should do once while you're with him.
Right.
What he's doing is training your mind to be thinking about this extended, the combat effective range that the AK is useful over, and then actually practicing shooting from those positions quite a bit. And I found it to be a really neat experience, because we're seeing, out of the guns I'm building, and certainly the gun Jim's been doing this for forever, but you can get a 1 MOA gun out of an AK. And so you should give it the respect it deserves of backing up and getting. There's not many one MOA shooters out there, and so becoming a good enough shooter to be as good as the AK should be on the top of every serious gunfighter's list, I think.
Well, look at it this way: the AK is the most villainized platform in the world, right? It's the evil gun. We start with that with history. Jim and I bounce back and forth in the classes talking about some of those. I don't know what you call them, but stigmas. Yeah, that's a good word for it. And I go, wait a minute, because like my dad, I grew up with that. We can talk about it if we have time, but like my first rifle I ever owned was an AK. Okay,
very cool.
And my dad's like, why do you want that commie gun? And I'm like, I didn't know it at the time, but now I'm like, well, shit, over 50 coalition countries in the world use the AK platform, right? It's not just the bad guys,
right?
So it gives you a little bit better understanding of the platform. We talk about the history and why it was designed and where it came from, and it's like, hey, let's change the mindset a little bit.
Who's a bad guy today might be an ally tomorrow too. So that changes constantly.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and also another stigma is like, well, the AK is an unreliable and inaccurate weapon. Well, it certainly depends if it's built in Jim or Brian's shop versus in a mud hut in Durkistan. But
my line for that is the AK is such a good design; it could be built horribly wrong and still work.
That's right.
For a while, yeah.
I've got guns that I have that are in the 1950s AKs, Type 2s, and stuff like that still work with all the original parts. They're like a champ.
So I think what people are wanting to hear, and what you're saying is, there's not a special way to train with an AK-47. It's train the person and the basics of shooting and combativeness, and that's going to apply, across all platforms. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what?
Yeah, to a point. We want to train the brain to think first before just judge or analyze or criticize the platform. So it's like we got to work on the and
those
mindset
noises you guys are hearing in the background, they're at the range, so that's not somebody knocking, that's a gunshot.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well, and Travis actually does, not to cut in on you, but Travis does deal with the particulars of the manual of arms, like in terms of when you've got an AK magazine. Use what's called the beer can grip, and to register the mag, he teaches pushing down so that you're at the base of the mag for insertion. that's a very particular ergonomic difference with the AK, and rocking your knuckles up to the
Right.
handguard and pulling back. He does go over those particulars.
And that brings me to where I was headed with this is as far as, the training goes, there are certain things that you have to train specifically for an AK because of the difference in the platform itself. It's got different mechanisms, and it's a completely different platform. But so you have to train for the mag changes, the mag drops, the safety's different. Talk about some of that stuff that you specifically train for the AK.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. There's going to be a couple different techniques, and put it this way, right? A lot of people get hung up around the axle or bent around the axle when it's, hey, do it this way, do it that way. It's an AK, it's an AR, whatever. Look, I don't jump on my Toyota Tacoma and drive it the way I do a race car. I don't drive a race car the way I drive my Toyota Tacoma. It's a different weapon system or a different vehicle at that point. It's a different bike. It's a different parachute. It's a different this. It's a different that. So everything's going to take slightly different things. And so my problem personally, not the problem, I never start a sentence with that, because I mean somebody's absolute, they have all the answers in my opinion, is people say simplify it, man. Try to do the same thing for multiple platforms. It doesn't work that way, right? And so if you think that we can't do that, then you're absolutely right, because it's a mindset issue, because you have already proven yourself that you can't do something. And that's with me. I'm just a different guy, man. I'm unpredictable. I'm disruptive. If somebody says, Travis, you'll never be able to do that, the first thing I just say is hold my beer. I'm that guy. Because I want to see if I can, not to prove somebody wrong. I want to see if there's an ability to do things. And so we look at sports performance. We look at vehicles. We look at aircraft. 120 years ago, or whatever the timeline is, the Wright brothers are trying to figure out how to take sticks and tape and freaking string to make a damn airplane fly. And today, less than 120 years later, we can't even fathom the shit that they have out there that they're flying that we don't even know about. So look at weapons now in the last 120 years. In my opinion, not much has changed, right?
That was 1903, by the way.
1903. Okay, that's work. Yeah, was that? I'm almost there.
You're
close. Yeah, you're close.
Wow, that's good. Good guess. But
I have a aerospace.
Yeah,
degree.
we're more advanced. Yeah, we look a little different. Yeah, our gear's different. But we're still slinging lead down range. The thing that I've noticed about the aviation community, I'm a guinea pig, man. I've studied a lot of different arts. I went to culinary school to learn how to shoot better. I went to ballroom dancing school to learn how to move my body better.
Sound like Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I do. I'm like that.
He was pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it works.
Of course, all of the extreme sports that I love to do to stay on the edge physiologically, so I can understand and diagnose what my body's doing, my brain's thinking, all these different things out there. I've learned so much more from those people, professional athletes that I talk to on a frequent basis, than I ever have in the shooting communities. And I noticed that their communities focus more on people instead of the shit they're doing or building or making, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, we all build equipment. We all do very well in our product development and sharing that with other people. But you know what? That's the whole point. We live in a world of products. We live in a world of training nowadays where it's almost a full-time job trying to figure out where to start. But make sure that you're going with somebody. That's why I hang out with very specific people in this industry that know their core and will never abandon it. Because even though we live in that world of products, it's not about products, man. It's about people. And that's what our training's about, and that's what our product development's about. And that's where we want to try to take those advancements from other places. Like, hey, they're building fighter jets around people. They're not building a fighter jet just to make money to build a fighter jet. Mm-hmm. They have to build it around that person because they're going to be pulling extreme maneuvers, extreme G-forces on their body. They're going to have psychological and physiological, neurological changes. So they study those things. They actually teach the pilots those things. They teach the race car drivers those things. I went to freaking culinary school, and the chef is talking about, here's biomechanical efficiency when you're chopping with a knife. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Why is a chef talking about this? And it's making me cut better on a cutting board. But I've never thought about that or been explained that in the shooting or tactics community, even in special operations, which it's getting better, but there's still a massive deficiency. So I guess before I leave this beautiful and shitty earth, I would like to think that I can leave a little bit more knowledge behind to try to get us going in that direction, man.
Very cool. Yep. So Brian, you're actually a student this week with Travis and Jim.
Yeah.
So what are some key points that you've taken away from this course so far? I know you still got a couple of days left. So far, what's your key key takeaway?
A few hours left.
A few hours? That's it.
Yeah, last day.
I think Travis has a lot to offer training with him. There's certain instructors where they're great, but I would train with them only after I had a sound foundation. And Travis is unique in that I think you can get something from him at any level, and beginner shooters will be able to walk into this as long as they're safe.
Yeah.
And even they can be really slow, but if you have a safe, slow shooter that's real new, going they'll get a ton. And that's really cool. There's a bunch of foundational stuff, and I don't mean that like it's easy. Mm-hmm. I mean like it's the physical foundation that everything rests on. Like the holes in my prone stance, for instance, that have been made clear to me during this class are gaping. I'm pretty good standing, kneeling, moving. I've spent a lot of time training those. I don't train a lot of prone. And so that was a big takeaway for me.
It's a long way for you to get down to the ground.
Yeah, I've got a somewhat weird body. So yeah, I have some biomechanical challenges that he's been.
Well, you're 9 feet
I don't
tall,
want to give away his course, but yeah. So getting down there is a little tricky. So I got to work on that. But in terms of key points, takeaways, his manual of arms stuff is really solid. His safety he runs a safe range where I'm not worried about getting shot here, which is great. And
that's key.
That's key.
That's key.
And that's not in contrast to anybody else. I'm just saying,
No,
there's the safe range.
No, there's some unsafe ass people out there. I'll say it.
Yeah.
And they just don't know. They really don't know the difference. It's the thing.
So what we stress on this show, not just the AK Korner, but the Talking Lead show as a whole, is if you're going to own a firearm, train. And that's not just going and getting your carry permit or whatever it may be. You need to take a defensive course for that platform that you're taking. So you own an AR-15. Go take a course that's specific to AR-15 training. You want an AK-47, which we're talking about right now, go take an AK-47 class that's, specific for that. Now, do your homework. Obviously, we want you guys to give Haley a shot here and let him do some work for you. But, Jim offers the armorers courses, not just using it, but also learn your weapon and how it works and how to fix it. And, that all goes hand in hand as being a responsible firearms owner.
Yeah, 100%. And if I could, I don't want to talk over Jim here, but I'm a student of both of these guys. I built my first AK with Jim 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a phenomenal foundation. Obviously, I think I've progressed pretty well. He gave me a great set of tools. And that class, people might think it's expensive. For $2,000, you get 3 days of stellar instruction. You get to run a machine gun. You get to hang out with a legend and learn directly from him. And then you get $1,000 to $1,500 gun at the end of it on a bonus. It's one of the cheapest. If you want to look at like unit cost or whatever, it's one of the cheapest things you'll get. Likewise, Haley is a top tier instructor. And yes, it's $800 for his class, but it's three full days. You're going from ass early until dark. Wait,
it's only $800?
It's only $800 to train with this gentleman.
I'm serious. That's not bad at all.
With no extra fees. Like, they cover the range. I don't know if this is true everywhere, but they covered the range fee. Like, they're putting on one hell of a show. And so both of these guys, dollar for dollar, people should be spending. There's that rule that you should spend twice on the scope what you paid for the rifle. You should spend like 4 times as much on training as you paid. Like, let's say you buy a Wasser as your first AK. Go out and take 4 classes before you think about buying another gun.
I'm going to one-up you.
I don't know exactly the number, but
I'm one-upping you on the training. Is you can never spend enough on training. It's something that you don't want to just do one time. It's something that you want to continue to do through your life, through your ownership of the firearm as well.
Yep.
I mean, there's no just I took this class and I'm good to go. You always need to stay tuned.
Something I'll add in there for the listeners is a lot of people say, well, they're either intimidated to go to a class or they'll think, oh, that's a basic fundamental class and I'm more advanced. We have to be careful with those mindsets. You're never too advanced to do the basic fundamentals, because if there's anything advanced at all, it's simply advanced applications of the basic fundamentals. That's it. So when people are looking for a class, I see this big issue nowadays with the tactical world, which again, that has a meaning, right? It's the decisions, keyword, that one makes in battle that determine their success or failure. It doesn't mean the gun you have, the camouflage you're wearing, the backpack and the chest rigs and the bullshit you buy. It's about your brain, your mindset. So with that, if you're going to build a house, what's the first thing you have to have, and what's the most solid thing in the house?
A good realtor.
Foundation. That is very true.
It's a selfless plug. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm actually
Marty's a realtor as well. That's what he's making a joke.
I do a little real estate myself. I'm going to steal that from you.
Nice.
So with that foundation, right, you got to have the foundation set. It's got to be solid. And I see a lot of people that have been shooting for long times, and their foundations may be cracked, or it's never been really solid. And then we'll say, hey, look, you're not throwing flashbangs and doing Hondo rolls today, okay, bud? You're going to be working on your foundation. And then they all of a sudden will see the appreciation behind that, because here's my take on it. You cannot put tactics into basic fundamentals, but you can take basic fundamentals and put it into any tactical situation you want, or find yourself in. So make sure that people out there are looking at the proper training and starting at that level. Even if you're at what you would consider advanced level, keep working your foundation. And then you go up to the next course and start doing skill sets and tactics. And then you go up to the next course after that, if you can find one. Shameless plug, like our D7 courses in Scottsdale, where you actually get a chance to do real judgmental use of force style training. Not just simunitions, not paintball. I'm talking actually physiological testing and training on your mind and your body to see what you're actually capable of under real stress. Like we use simulations with mixed reality, so your brain, your amygdala is still firing in reality, right? So you have to actually learn in that environment not just how to shoot, but how to control and reprogram or repath your information to the frontal point of your brain, your frontal cortex, to make better decisions. And then what we find is people get in those scenarios or get into tactics class, and they get stressed out, and their amygdala starts talking. And we call it an amygdala attack. So if you're getting attacked constantly in your amygdala, and you're not the AA, so it's like we should call it AA, right? Amygdala attack.
I'm a bit of a smart ass. You'll find out, Travis.
No, man, we'll get along great. But yeah, so it's like that's the thing we're really focused on there. Where you go to a force train, everybody's just going freaking crazy, sending paint down range. It's like no. There has to be a very specific process when you get to that level. Right. And everybody, you guys know, man. Everybody wants sex, right? They want sex. They want the sexiest, the sexiest training, and that's cool. But it's the problem is we don't want to do the work, right? And there's a thing that we focus on in this class. The number one thing we start with, we work throughout the day, we end with, is a deliberate practice model. So that's what we're sharing as a model for people to take away. And then they realize when they have something that's tangible, they can actually go back. Because I don't care. I told these guys, I don't give a shit what you learn in these 3 days, as horrible as that sounds. What I really care about is what you take away on day 4, day 5, a month from now. And then what are you applying at that point? And I haven't found a whole lot of that in my own personal training and going out. I've got very few select people that I'll work with and train with that kind of think outside the box like we do at HSP. And other than that, it's like everybody's sucked into this thing, this niche, and there's no niches in a gunfight, man. Mm-mm. So that's where I have to think outside the box.
Right. So I see Jim's back there. He's got something he wants to add to that. I can tell. Nobody puts Jim in the back seat.
Yeah, no, I tried to put him in the front, and he for whatever reason was being very gracious and letting me sit up front.
We're being respectful. We're in a minivan, believe it or not.
Nice.
and the elder person always sits with the sliding door.
Gotcha. Jim, you got something to add?
Yeah, I forgot.
You forgot what it was?
He's thinking I'm a handicapped
man. I've been shooting AKs for over 30 years. Shooting them, running them, working on them. I know this gun pretty well. I've done a lot with it. What was it, 2 years ago? I took that class down in Arizona, Travis?
Yeah, I think so.
About 2 years? Yeah. Prior to that point, I'd never shot an AK farther away than 500 yards. And that range that he uses down there has the ability to go out to 750, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so we're working our way back, and we get to 500. And I'm, okay, this is cool, man. And then, back to 6. I'm what? And then it's back to 7. Then it's back to 750. I'm wait, come on.
Hold on.
I didn't expect me to hit anything this far. And he goes, He says to me, "You know what your holdover is, right?" I said, "Yeah, I think it was 80 inches or something like that." Yeah, he goes, yeah, that's good. Do that. I fired one shot. He was spotting for me.
Yeah.
I fired one shot. I'm going, this is a joke. This ain't going to happen. And I was running a 5.45 gun with an aim point on it. And I'm thinking, no, this is too much for this gun. I missed the first. He spotted my first shot, said you were low. And then I think I fired 5 or 6 shots after that, hit every time. It was one of the most amazing moments in training I think I ever had, because I had convinced myself, I had convinced my brain that gun could not do that. And in essence, told myself I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Just like the military teaches us when we're growing up, man, we're like, hey, you're not going to be capable beyond this point. So we go, okay, roger that. And it's until we start pushing the human boundary, not the gun. The gun's physically capable. Mm-hmm. We are physically capable. The problem is we have to mentally convince ourselves of it. Right. And that's what we love doing, is helping people convince themselves that you can do this. Just all you have to do is think about it and understand what the elements are working with here, and then apply them and execute, and be willing to fail. And I think a lot of people are not willing to fail at courses. You know, even other instructors, they'll be like, you actually take people back to 700 yards? I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, well, first off, you'll never get in a gunfight that far away. I'm like, well, first off, don't say that, because I have been. So, again, hold my beer. Matter of fact, I'm just going to take my beer with me, because you obviously can't handle it. And in the same time, it's like, it's the marathon mentality. If you had to go out and run a mile, would you go out and practice running a mile every day? A lot of people do. I'll go practice running 10 miles for that 1 mile. Because when you tell me I got to run a mile, I laugh and say, hold my beer, right? It's like, so that's what we give people mentally in a class, that you walk away and you see the light bulbs, you see the smiles and the shit-eating grins start coming out when they hit that plate. It doesn't mean they're ever going to have to shoot that far, but dude, their confidence boost is so high that if they do have to do a quick shot at 100, 200, it's like another ordinary problem to deal with. Right.
Absolutely. So I know you guys are running short on time. How much time do you think we got?
We're probably honestly about 5 more minutes, man.
Okay, sounds good. That'll give us enough time to do some of these listener submitted questions. But before we do that, real quick, give your website, social media, where everybody can get in touch with you guys. I'm going to go around the minivan.
OCCAMDefense.com. That's OCCAM. And if you just Google us, you'll find us.
And that's Brian Keeney.
Yep.
And RifleDynamics.com.
Jim Fuller.
Jim Fuller on Facebook. Fuller AK on Instagram.
And for my company is HaleyStrategic.com. And then the training is also inside that same website, just HaleyStrategicTrain.com. We are available also on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and probably some other stuff that I don't know. I have to ask my marketing guys.
Now, do you guys travel with your training, Travis, or do you do it at a specific location?
We have our headquarters in Scottsdale, Arizona, where we do our D7 programs because of the training center that we have there with the equipment. It's hard to bring all that stuff on the road. It's very sophisticated stuff. And then we have our mobile training teams that, yes, we travel all over the place. I mean, we're in Vegas today, Utah tomorrow, I was in Virginia 3 days ago, and I was somewhere else before that. I don't remember what day it is. So, yeah, we're constantly moving and shaking and baking all around the country. So on our training schedule, you can see we can't be everywhere. Trust me, I'm still trying to figure out how to clone myself. Maybe Brian can help me with that with his expertise. But, yeah, we're all over the country as much as we possibly can.
Very cool. So and you guys can go to their website and check that schedule out. And, of course, you can go to Jim's to find out about the courses that they have available as well. And Brian's got some news. We're going to have Brian back on a little bit later. We're going to get into talking about his new 1775 rifle. But before we lose Jim and Travis here, let's go to the listener questions here. Let's go to the first one. Is there a steep learning curve in training someone to effectively run an AK when they are already familiar with the AR?
Only if they already have all the answers.
Got to have an open mind. Yeah.
You do, yeah. But the answer is no. I don't believe so. Is it a little bit more clunky, or may need some more love, care, tweaking, maintenance? You know, like, I mean, how many guys have we kind of tweaked or fixed safeties and, you know, hey, don't use that magazine. Your gun doesn't like that. Don't take a Dremel to it. Like, so there's that curve that we don't have to deal with on the AR side of the house. But other than that, as far as the manipulation manual of arms, again, everything takes deliberate practice. And if you have a model for that, anything's achievable.
Very cool. Jim, you got anything to add to that?
It's hard to beat that.
There you go. That was a good answer, wasn't it?
Yep.
All right, so
That's your expertise, dude.
so this question's for Travis and Brian. For you personally, why the AK? What was your first memory? What grew the passion for the AK platform? And that's going to be for you too, Jim. I know we already asked you that last episode, but let's do it again.
Real quick, before I was even into defensive weapons, I was designing scientific instruments, had to make an automated sample loader so people would put a powdered material into a cassette, and then there'd be a stack of cassettes, and the machine would have to eat these cassettes and then shit them out when it was done. And I thought, what's the most reliable machine out there that I can rip off? Who has already solved this problem? And this is way before I was into, black guns. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the Kalashnikov, let me go look at how that thing works. And holy hell, if you start looking at the first principles of why the AK is reliable, it starts with the cartridge, and it keeps going. The awesomeness as to why the AK works the way it does is really great. And I have not reached the bottom of that pool yet of the neat things about it. And I'll shut up there in the interest of time.
Jim, what about you, man?
Well, I think, as I told you, the first AK I ran across was an ugly, beat-up piece of shit that I was actually not wanting to shoot because it didn't look safe, but it ran flawlessly. And that was quite an eye-opener for me. And I'd never really looked back after that. It's just my gun. It's what I like. I spent 5 years running M4s because I taught for a company that didn't allow AKs, and that was my 5-year affair with the M4, and I ended up going back to the AK as soon as I left that company because it's just the gun that works for me. It's what I like.
Travis.
For me, man, I'll try to keep it short. Back in 1986, was it? I was younger. I don't know if I was in high school yet.
It was around that time.
Some guy that I look up to a little bit, kind of the hero back in those days, said the AK-47 makes a very distinct sound when fired at you, so remember it. Obviously, Clint Eastwood said that in the movie Heartbreak Ridge, which I knew at that time as a young kid I wanted to be a recon Marine, so that was my thing. And holy shit! Yeah, I can see that.
I got every which way but loose on.
He's damn Clint Eastwood's on TV right now. Okay, awesome. So, anyways, I knew what I wanted to do as a young kid, man, and I grew up in a family. I'm the 8th generation gunfighter in my family on the Haley side from the American Revolutionary War. Basically, every Haley in my family's been in every major conflict up until today. So, and my brother's a Marine, Lieutenant Colonel, everything. So I knew that I would get all the experience that I needed with a AR platform in the military. But for some reason, the Kalashnikov platform just kind of spoke to me. And so I begged my dad to go buy an AK. I was a swamp rat from northern Florida. And he's like, why can't you get a hunting rifle like every other kid your age? And I said, well, it's because I don't want a hunting rifle. I want to know the enemy's weapon, right? And so eventually I talked him into it. He let me go down and buy one at a pawn shop. I earned the money being an electrician. So I knew that weapon system inside out as a young kid. And then joining the military, I realized everybody around me, if they picked up an AK, a lot of times they didn't know how to load it. They didn't know how to take the safety off. They didn't understand it at all. And I'm like, guys, it's not that hard. And I always fell, I always lean towards that platform. It's more near and dear to me than the AR platform is because of not just my personal stories from growing up and having it, my dad allowing me to do it. And then also at the same time, it's actually that knowledge, man. I owe my dad everything for allowing me to buy that instead of a hunting rifle because it ended up saving my life.
Yeah, we're all glad you did that.
Yeah,
cool.
Because I'll be honest, man, because of some examples or some stories, specifically one that I was involved in, if I didn't have that opportunity as a kid to pick up that weapon and know it inside and out, I know positively, without a doubt, man, I would not be here today. I would not be here just because of knowledge, because it helped me. It helped influence my ability to make a better decision under a micro-timed stress situation. Right. And I owe everything to that knowledge.
So this is several people have this question. Accessories. The ARs are known for you can accessorize the hell out of them. As far as the AKs go, what do you guys like to put on your AK-47? What's your accessories you run with?
I mean, it depends. I've got a whole library. I try to collect every AK I can from all around the world. And so I, of course, keep them very traditional. For my work guns that I carry every day, my truck gun really is a gun that Jim built for me. That was his URD series 74. And that's just my favorite, fastest, most badass gun. It thing shoots half-inch groups. And it's a side folder. I keep it in a little bag. That's my go-to gun, I guess. But I still don't have a shit ton of accessories on it. I mean, I feel like a scout rail with a little optic on there, like a T1 or an aim-point T2 or something, or in a muzzle device. I think you can get a lot of shit done with just those three items right there.
What about muzzle device? Was another question that somebody has. When you say muzzle device, what type muzzle device do you prefer?
I think that kind of goes into like a lot of personal preference. I mean, of course, if you're running a 5.45, it's a little easier to shoot the gun. It's a little tamer. Some people put brakes on them and then they just shoot like glass. So it depends. Do you want a fireball? Do you want a flash hider? Do you want a compensator? It's hard to find a combination of those three. But there's, I run a Surefire brake with a Surefire can on mine. Right. So for my 7.62x39s, I'll typically run something along the lines of, again, of Surefire brake or muzzle device. I got like the BCM 7.62 on some of my 7.62 guns. PWS makes a lot of great brakes. You see a lot of guys running those out here. And then some of the traditional brakes, like on the 74.
The 74
really,
brakes actually.
It's kind of like a Surefire brake, honestly.
Yeah. What kind of slings you guys run?
I run his. It's a combo.
Slings is it can be a very long story, so I'm gonna keep it this simple, man. Use a sling that works around you, so you don't have to work around it. That's the simple thing. So for me, on an AK, because it's more manipulation intensive, I guess, lack of better terms there, you're rocking mags in. You're not just putting a mag into a box, right? Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of guys out here having problems with their slings attached right to the side of the gun. They're moving straps out of the way just to try to get the mag in. They're having problems transitioning to different targets. So I have two theories. I have my slings that I design are single and 2-point. You can go back and forth depending on what you're doing. If I'm out walking through the mountains on a trail, I'm going to be in 2-point because I need the comfort. If I know I'm going to be in some shitty situation or in a vehicle, I'm going to go single point because I have more range of motion. I can break the gun down. I can switch shoulders with it. I can also get shot in the arm or the side and switch shoulders without having to come out of the sling. So there's a lot of different variables that can happen to us that I think a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
I personally, to keep it simple, look at my sling as actually life support equipment because it's attached to the thing that's also saving my life.
Another thing to keep in mind too is your sling. It's another thing that you're going to have to train with. So you're not going to automatically be able to do all the things that Travis just said because you went and bought that sling. You're going to have to practice and train with it.
Yeah, you got to learn something.
It's the same as buying a gun and thinking you can just run it without ever having a proper instruction on it. It's the same thing.
You don't buy a piano and you become a classical master.
Right.
And, people wait till they get out onto the range to find out that their gear doesn't work. You can effectively make a lot of money and potentially save your own life, for God's sakes, by doing some dry practice at home. Do it mindfully, make sure there's no ammo in the room, use empty magazines, clear your gun, be very mindful and safe about it, point in the safe direction. But running dry at home, you will get so much more out of training and know when your shit is stupid. Like if your sling is blocking your hand from loading a mag, or if you're transitioning from right to left hand and the sling is in the way of the grip, like these are obvious things that you can do on your own and debug. You don't need Travis to tell you that your equipment is garbage.
Well, on the range, it's very easy to, I'll just move that strap out of the way and put my mag in. In a gunfight, it's not that easy because you die because you can't get your mag and your gun down. So I take it seriously, man. I really do. I think everybody else should as well.
Oh, absolutely. Jim, back in the back seat back there, accessories. What you got? Tips, pointers for our listeners?
Well, pretty much. I mean, we've been running our guns pretty much the same way for the last 6-7 years since we started doing our production guns. And same thing. I like a red dot in the scout mount position with a flashlight up there, red and white light. That's all I really need for my work. We're looking at some other ways of putting hex on there so you can look at night vision stuff.
Yeah.
You know, with the scout mounts, you have limited room, but there's other things coming out now.
Yeah.
Now,
give you a little bit more room.
No, it sounds like you're alluding to something there. Is there something you guys want to let us in on? Huh?
Jim, shut up! Shut up, Jim! Shut up!
He let the cat out of the bag.
I'm sorry.
Well, I always have like my marketing guys or social media guys might say we don't discuss what we may or may not be working on in the future.
Right.
But let's put it this way. Yeah, I would.
Might be a collaboration between one or more of the people at that range today.
Again, we can't say what we may or may not be working on in the future, okay? But if we were, I'd say be really excited. Let's put it that way.
Oh hell! And if there were something, if there were something going on, is that something maybe at SHOT Show we would like to release or talk about?
No, it wouldn't be SHOT Show. Yeah, I know Jim and we go way back on this conversation, but I don't live SHOT Show to SHOT Show. When we put out products, we put out products for people.
Amen. Good job.
So,
I like that.
Yeah, man. And that's so. Yeah, you'll definitely know if something happens. If something happens.
So I'll be at Buck Knives. Buck Knives will be the official lead quarters for SHOT Show, the 2019 SHOT Show, and I've invited Jim. I've invited Brian. Travis, you are welcome to come by. I'd love for you to stop by the booth, visit us there at Buck Knives. And we're going to have a beer garden Wednesday and Thursday.
Uh-oh.
Dude, my very first, I never thought about that. My very first knife was a buck knife, too. And I still have it. I should bring it with me.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mine too, actually. Yeah.
They make
classic black and silver buck, man. Remember that? Yeah.
Well, guys, I know you got to get back to training. Thank you so much for taking the time. Travis, it was a pleasure. Nice to meet you via Skype here. Hopefully we'll get to meet in person coming up soon. Jim, thank you so much for putting this together. You and Brian, really appreciate you guys doing that. You're always welcome back on the show. And then, guys, we're going to come back with Brian, and we're going to answer your questions about that 1775 that OCCAM Defense is getting ready to roll out for you guys. So stay tuned for that.
He turned into a pretty damn good builder, this guy.
Oh, thank you.
You learn from the best, right?
Well, I tell you what, I don't typically just pick up a gun and shoot it and go, wow, that's pretty cool. But I did catch myself saying that to myself when I shot his rifle today. It was solid, man. It's a good piece that he's got there.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll be
Thank
back
you very
with
much
more.
for having me on, sir.
Well,
all right, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, really, thank you so much for doing this. I know you guys are out there working. Appreciate you taking the time to do my little podcast. It's awesome. I'm humbled.
You're a fun guy, Marty.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
I appreciate it. And Jim will tell you I'm more fun when we're not rushed. So we'll have to have you back on, Travis.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. I enjoy doing podcasts. So let me know anytime.
All right, guys.
Well,
thanks
cool.
so much. Train hard.
Thanks
Be safe.
again, sir. Take care.
All right.
See you,
guys.
Marty.
Bye. All right, guys. How awesome was that? Freaking two legends on the Talking Lead AK Korner. And that's all thanks to our good buddy Brian with OCCAM Defense. Brian, that was amazing. I don't know how you pulled that off, but thank you for doing that.
You know, those guys have been really good to me. They're both really good dudes, and you know, they're what can I say? It was really cool.
I mean, gosh, that was something else. So, obviously, I mean, you're back from the class. You went through the course here. This is the day after, so to speak. Talk about the class. Give a personal experience of what you went through there.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I've trained with a bunch of different folks. Let's see, James Yeager, Paul Howe, John Farnham. Oh gosh, I'm leaving some other folks out. Sonny Pazikas.
Oh wow. Yeah.
A whole bunch of different views on the AK, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the last big name in terms of people who have a really good handle on the AK. I might be missing. I know I'm missing some folks, but certainly on that list is the gentleman that I just took that class from, and he has a very interesting take on it. You know, Travis is a sniper. And so he has a really good take on, you know, there's that expression that you own every bullet that you send down range.
Right.
And And a lot of folks will say that in an admonishing way, a warning.
Mhm.
And he wasn't explicit about it like that, but it was like a very definite focus on knowing where every bullet is going to go, more, with a tacit emphasis on lethality.
Right.
Make your hits and
make shot count. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does a bunch of stuff with ergonomics and setting up your body position and getting comfortable with your body position to where you get a lot of repeatability.
Mm-hmm.
And where your natural point of aim is really relaxed. Like one of the drills is getting set up in a particular way that works in a martial context. It's not a contrived shooter's stance. It's one that I would happily use in a gunfight. Closing your eyes and letting off 5 rounds while somebody is watching you. And your partner, we buddy up like odds evens or whatever.
Right.
And your partner keep track of the shots, and then you open your eyes and then you call your shots. You talk about the order in which you thought they strung out in. And so it's a biofeedback thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you get, it's really good. And so you work on your natural point of aim standing. And we spent a lot of time, he's got a great little lecture on prone, where he had quite a bit of trigger time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get sort of a mini sniper class, but with regard to the AK, not that I think it really matters. There's constants and just universal truth. It was interesting because he used the old word for systema, the Russian martial art,
mm-hmm.
is a phrase that I can't pronounce, but it's get to know yourself.
Okay.
And so there's an interesting parallel there between Sonny and Travis, that they both are teaching that you really need to understand your own personal ergonomics or biomechanics. And Travis is much more scientific about it, and Sonny's a lot more intuitive, but they kind of get to the same place, which is get some reps in, do things because of reasons, change something, retest it, see if you're better. And then
would you think that that's a good class for beginners, or is this more of an intermediate?
This one is, that's a really good question. Like Sonny is definitely not a beginner's class. Like if I spend one beginner's class, it would be fighting rifle with James Yeager,
mm-hmm.
His shop. The doctrine for a rank beginner, I think, is second to none. I think after I took that class, Haley would be the right place to go, because Haley works a lot on the finer points in a way that's foundational. But he does assume that you've touched a rifle before.
Right. I mean,
which is a good assumption for most folks, right? But if you're really new to the AK, I think that fighting rifle is where it's at. But yeah, it was, man, I'm to the point, I've trained with enough folks where if I get one nugget, obviously there's a lot of overlap with running a gun, right?
Yeah.
But if I get one good technique out of a class now, I consider that a real victory.
Right. And that's the thing with the training, and you just kind of drive the point home there, is train with a bunch of different people, because you're going to take a little golden nugget from each one of those and develop your own kind of.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of style.
Yeah. I think, worshiping at one altar is not a good idea. And they all are. There's a reason that all of them are still in business. They all have lots
of valid techniques,
individual things, and they have lots to teach, and they're all special people teaching some really interesting techniques. So, and Travis is very unique in what he's teaching. It's a pie slice. The stuff that is unique about him, really nobody is doing. Like there's soft overlap with a bunch of other folks, right? But he's got a real my next, I forget if it's called D3 or D7, but he teaches a class in a physics lab, basically, at his Scottsdale headquarters. Yeah,
he was talking about that a little bit earlier. I was kind of, I was intrigued by that. I mean, he actually has a lab that he kind of sounds like the Rocky IV, he's fighting the Russian. And
yeah, absolutely.
Was that 4? Yeah, is that Rocky IV?
They have a camera that's tracking how your eyes are moving during the situation. Like they have software that's written that's
That's amazing.
You're playing a video game, but the instructor can change how the scenario happens, and then you're using a laser system. But if you get a hit on you, I don't think they use this in the beginners, but they actually have like the equivalent of a shock collar. It goes on your belt, but if your opponent, your fictitious opponent in the video game gets a hit on you, you get a good jolt of,
get a little buzz. Yeah.
Yep. But the stuff like tracking eye movement, tracking heart rate, it's really clever.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys definitely need to go check out Haley Strategic Partners, their website, check out their courses there. And I mean, he said that one that you were taking, it's like $800. I couldn't believe that. I was expecting, with Travis Haley, it's a 3-day, 2-day course.
Yeah, it was 3 days. So, $250 a day, basically.
That's not bad at all.
That's kind of the going rate. So, he's not charging a premium. Oh, and I should say, for those of your listeners who haven't taken a course at all, his adaptive Kalash video, if you took that and you dry practiced it in your living room, safe with no ammunition in the room, check your gun twice, make sure your magazines are empty, make sure there are not any hot magazines in the room. Dry practicing the techniques he shows you in that video with manual of arms and everything will put you way ahead of the curve when you actually go to take a class. Yeah. You can basically save yourself $500 to $800 just by buying the $40 DVD and running the drills.
Yeah, now, dry firing is one of the best things that you could do to stay, proficient and efficient, I guess, with your manipulation of your firearms. And of course, follow all the safety rules. But that's kind of something that we forget to do. And I catch myself, sometimes laxing on that. And when you mentioned it, when you mentioned it earlier, that whole day yesterday, that's what I was doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
But if for those of your listeners that either have some TV time or work from home or work in a place where guns are allowed, I take my work breaks. Since I'm the boss, I get to do this, but I've got obviously more than one AK in the shop, but I dry practice maybe 5 minutes an hour. So when I need to get up and move around and get a break from the computer, I dry practice, and it is 5 minutes or 15 minutes a day of dry practice will make you so much better. It'll blow your mind. Yeah. It's like taking steroids or something for weightlifting. It's it's better. Like, it's a huge advantage, and it's so easy. You just have to do it.
Yeah. And, just doing it. And again, like I said, it's something I just kind of got away from, and it's good to get that reminder. So thank you for reminding me of that. Now, this journey that you've been on, taking all these training courses, with all these different personalities around the country, it was purposeful. It has led you to where you are now, and what we're going to talk about now is your 1775, the ODS-1775 AK-47. So talk about that journey, that you've gone through, and the golden nuggets, and what led you to build this particular AK.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a physicist, which
you're a geek.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, and that means I'm an engineer that I can play with a whole bunch of different tools. So I don't just do mechanical engineering. I do electrical engineering. I can do software. I play with a bunch of stuff. If you know Q from the 007 movies, the mad scientist who's always come up with the exploded or whatever, that pretty much, I've done flying cars, I've got stuff on Mars, I've got guns,
How cool would that be for you to be Q in the next James Bond?
That'd be fun.
I mean, that would be like a complete, from their normal, geeky, nerdy guy to, this big giant monster.
That'd be funny as hell. You're right. It's always a little shrimpy guy. You're right.
Right. Yeah. They switch it to somebody like you who's like, Q? So you're Q? Somebody that can break him in half. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in California, and California was getting dangerous. This is, 5-6 years ago, and took a bunch of hand-to-hand stuff and some knife fighting. I kept asking, okay, how do I use this X technique, if my kids are with me or if I have my kids in my arms? And the instructors would invariably say, oh, get your kids back from the situation and then engage. And I was like, man, if I could break the engagement to put my kids down someplace safely, why the hell would I go back and have a fist fight or whatever, or a knife fight? That's not how this works. And so I finally realized that even though it was illegal, I needed to learn how to use a gun and just start carrying that. And that ended up being
in California. Yeah.
Yeah. And went to James Yeager's school, his doctrine, just found him on YouTube, and his doctrine really made sense. It still makes sense. He does say what you will about him. He turns a lot of people off, but I'll tell you what, his school,
until you actually meet him and you go through his class, you don't need to give an opinion.
Yeah. It's neither here nor there. His pound for pound, his school is where it's at with getting competent on a rifle.
Absolutely. Or a pistol or rifle. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sterling curriculum. So anyway, was running a California compliant AK, which I won't go into what an abortion that is, but there's a bunch of stuff you do to them. And that exposed a bunch of ergonomic deficiencies with the AK. Mm-hmm. And so I started working on those, and the first product was a scope mount, or an optic mount that's very precise. It's called the RST. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it in favor of other stuff, but it's a good product. Sure. Next came out that solved the optic mounting problem on the AK, which in my view hadn't really been done yet. There's a bunch of solutions. I didn't like them for various reasons. Mm-hmm. So the next problem was, so I had optic mounting down. The next problem was the handguard. They all got really hot and they were heavy. And, my neck running, I do these classes honest with a rifle. If I've got a rifle in my hands, chances are I'm going to have a plate carrier on too. And some really bad shit is going down. So if you spend a week, 40 hours hauling around really heavy gear, your neck starts hurting. You start really understanding what's wrong with it.
And you're no small guy. I mean, we've made that comment several times. Tell everybody how big you are.
Yeah, I'm 6'4" and about 280.
Yeah,
and
big dude. And he's lean. He ain't fat.
I'm a big. Yeah. I'm not a fat guy. I'm big, big boned, and
I mean, you worked out in the airport, for God's sakes.
Yeah. And my loadout's like 80 pounds or something.
Yeah.
If you take six AK mags, a heavy AK, 100 ounces of water, comms,
you're well over 300 pounds.
Yeah, you're well over 300, and so that's a lot of weight to be dragging around. So lightening up the gun was a big deal, and so I ended up coming up with a product called the Merc, which you can pre-order right now. We're about to have them delivered in the next 8 to 12 weeks. And fulfilled for those who have done pre-orders so far. And it is a free float handguard for the AK that solves a bunch of problems. It does not get hot. It gets warm. It does not. You don't need to wear gloves though. It won't cut you up. It won't burn you. It solves. You can strap all kinds of toys on. It's got 7 rows of M-lock. It's got Picatinny running up on the top.
For all you AR geeks out there, there you go.
Yeah. And so that led to people have kept telling me I need to come out with a rifle, and I've been building AKs for 5 years now, something like that. And I finally was goaded into it here. And so we've come up with a rifle called the ODS-1775 that we've just sold out of the pre-order. But
I told you Leadheads, our Black Friday Cyber Monday show, told you guys to jump on that because they weren't going to last. And there you go. They have sold out. But
however, yeah, you can get in line. The price is higher as I promised it would be on this show. I was doing an introductory price, but and it's going to keep going up. But right now they're $1,445. And it is a 14.5-inch nitrided barrel. We're getting ridiculously tight groups. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see some video of what we can do with them.
Yeah, I reposted one of those for you leadheads to check out. It got a lot of comments on that, definitely.
Yeah, it was a good day. And we've been having, in Travis's class, it really got to shine. We were taking we were doing standing offhand shots at 350 yards and hitting steel every time. I mean,
That's
I whiffed
awesome.
a couple, get me wrong, but when I put the dot on, when the dot was on the thing and I pulled the thing,
The
and
thing
it
was
went
on
back,
the thing, and you pulled the thing,
Yeah.
and it hit the thing. Yeah.
that you got it. You got it. Shout out to Jay the Nightmare Gibson. So yeah, 14.5 inch barrel that we pin and weld to 16 with a dead air. We're actually doing JMac and dead air suppressors. The barrel is a really nice JMac barrel. If you decide to get a brake, it's a JMac. If you get a flash hider, it's the dead air. Both of them fit dead air suppressors and Omega suppressors. If you get the chemo adapter, there's the Merc handguard. It's Cerakoted in one of 3 flavors: black, flat dark earth, and olive drab. There's your choice of Tango down grip or Hogue grip. We offer stippling on that from Jake Masterson of Modern Defensive Enhancement for $24 extra.
Sweet.
There's other tuned gas, so it'll run good with the suppressor.
Now you didn't tell me you had the stippling. That's something new.
Yeah. He's a buddy of mine and real good kid. He's just coming up. He is not going to be doing stippling for long because he's really good gunsmith, but he's doing stippling to get his name out there. And so for right now, you can get really nice stippling. It comes in 2 flavors. We've got the Joe Rogan, which has a nice grip to it, but is a reasonable man's stippling job. And then we've got the Alex Jones flavor, which is just full anger, testosterone. And you can let go and it'll still be gripping you.
I want that one.
Yeah, cool.
I'm switching my order. I want the stippling.
All right, we can do that. You want Joe Rogan or Alex Jones?
Oh, I want the stick. You can stick it to the wall. I want the Alex Jones, baby.
You want the Alex Jones then for sure. It's a nice. It's not gross. It's a really well. You can see it on our Instagram.
Okay.
He does a really nice job. Oh, we use a Childers receiver. We use M13 Krebs plates, ALG trigger group. This is a top of the line rifle that we're selling at an introductory price. You guys just now heard. I think Travis said something like that he doesn't often grab a rifle and shoot it and go, oh, wow, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, he grabbed the 1775 and really enjoyed it. And holy hell, did he shoot the heck out of it. Like,
did he really?
I'll post some video to Instagram of him running that gun.
Has he got a big shit-eating grin on his face?
Yeah, well, he's kind of a robot when he goes into...
oh, I got you. Yeah.
He's all business.
Serious.
When
Yeah.
Yep. Beyond serious, but it's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's the 1775. We're going to be rolling out some different price point rifles, but that one is a really nice fighting rifle for American patriots to defend their family, the neighborhood, or the homeland. And I care very deeply about making life-saving equipment. I do not make toys. And this is a honest God tool for patriots.
Very cool. So the website, again, they go to OCCAMDefense.com?
That's correct. And if you just Google OCCAM Defense, will come up, but it's OCCAM, as in Mary. Mm-hmm. And that I didn't know I was making a nerd joke when we named the company, but they're Occam's Razor.
Occam's Razor. Did you not know what that was?
I knew what it was. Not many people have heard about it. And it's all things being equal, the simplest answer is the right one. And that's our view of good design, is take all of the extra stuff off and just perform the function. And that's the optimal tool. And it's keep it simple, stupid is another way of saying it.
It's the
same
principle. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, very good, man. I know that there's been several lead heads that if they didn't already jump on that pre-order for the Black Friday Cyber Monday, there's more in line that are wanting to jump on this. So you guys need to do it. Need to do it quick. What's the down? Is it 200? Still 200 down? Holds it for you?
Yep. 200 down gets you a spot in line there, and and locks in your price of $14.45.
Very cool.
I suspect on the next run we're going to be up to $14.95.
Going to keep creeping.
This thing, we're going to raise the price. I want to be very clear on the front end so that nobody's upset when they find out we raised the price. Like, that's the deal. Like,
Well, you've been very honest about it. so far. I mean, you said it in the previous episode, and it went up just like you promised.
Yeah. It's other people are charging $1,600 to $1,800 for a gun that doesn't have the features that we do. Yeah. So that's we're going to try and keep it real competitive in that window there, but we also got to pay our guys. So
yeah. But we're giving away AKs here on the Talking Lead AK Korner, Talking Lead and Pioneer Arms Corp, Brian. And
awesome.
We've given away 5 to date, and we're getting ready to give away another one to one of you lucky lead heads. There's not really any criteria for this. We just ask that you be engaging with us and our guests and our sponsors on social media, like our posts, share our posts, comment, engage with the other lead heads, do it in a respectful way. There's been some, what do you call them? The people that go in and disrupt shit. What are they called? Trolls.
Trollery.
Thank you. Yeah. We've had some trolls, and I expect you guys to jump all over those trolls and give them hell. So make sure you do that. But for the most part, everybody's been very supportive, and we greatly appreciate it. Mustang Perry, Geo Osmond, Waylon Austin, Bill Adams, John Adams, Tyler Spence, Jacob Rozeski, Nuffy Wrangle. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but that's his name. Nick Aroni, Jason Edgar, Andrew Curlis, Pierce W. Taylor, Disruptive Tactics Inc.
I know a bunch of guys.
You know a bunch of these guys?
Good dudes. Yeah, totally.
Tandem Dooley, John Adams the third. I think I said John. I gave John and Bill Adams hell because I thought they were probably the same person, but they're 2 different people, so we verified that. Big Papa 94. Just the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So it's tough to pick a winner each time. So, Brian, what I'm going to do is this week I'm going to do 3 names. Last week with Jim, we did 2 names. He flipped a coin, and our winner was Ed Burton. And it came down between Ed and Jerry Black. And I know Jerry was just, mad as all get out, but but Jerry, you're in it again this week because I go and I look to see who's doing the most sharing, who's doing the most liking, who's doing the most comments, and I go through every post, and I'm looking and I'm seeing who all's in there, and if your name doesn't come up, don't get frustrated because we've still got. This is our 6th episode. We got 6 more to go, so we're only halfway through this, guys. And who knows? We may continue it in the future too. But I'm going to give you 3 names, Brian. I'm going to throw 3 names out, and I'm going to assign a number to them. So what's the best way to pick between 3 people, would you think?
It's quite the agony matrix you got there. If we're doing it in engineering speak, there's, number of posts, there's the quality of them, there's how positive they are.
Well, I've got it down to 3 people, and we need to do some sort of a random thing to pick one of those names. And you're the engineer. I'm going to let you figure this out for us. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. After you say the 3, I'm on the side of the road right now. If I see the first car that I see, if it's a truck, it's 1. If it's a van or like a passenger car, it'll be 2. And if it's anything else, will be 3. Okay.
All right. So here's our 3 people. We got Jerry Black again. Jerry Black's in it.
All right.
We've got Tandem Dooley, and we've got Mustang Perry.
All right.
That's our 3 candidates this week. 1 is Jerry, 2 is Tandem Dooley, 3 is Mustang Perry.
Yeah, I see a wrecker here, which I'm going to call a 3.
Okay.
And, what's that, Mustang Perry?
Mustang Perry. There you go.
All right, there it is.
So, congratulations, Mustang Perry. You are the winner of this month's AK Korner's Pioneer Arms Corp AK-47 Help Up. Yeah.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but I was hoping you were going to say Disruptive Tactics because that guy is really cool on my channel. So
Disruptive, yes. Disruptive. He's an up and comer. He kind of got in late, but he is definitely, once he's got in, he's been doing it. So he was actually in my top 5.
I'm a big fan of his.
Okay. No, I mean, he's still got, plenty of opportunities to win. Now, what you could do, if you want to give him something from OCCAM Defense, then
yeah, you know what?
For this episode, let's do that. Give him a little encouragement to keep up the support.
Yeah. If he private messages me, and I know he's a sub, sir, please message me, and I'll get you set up with the care package over here.
Awesome. There you go. Disruptive Tactics. Get in touch with Brian, and he'll hook you up. Mustang Perry, we need your FFL info, man. So send that, and we'll get it to Schwell. And again, Schwell sends his apologies. He couldn't make it again. He had some family things that he had to do. We will get Schwell back on the show. I promise you. Promise you we will. So next month, part 7, we're actually going to give away a Pioneer Arms Corp Sporter AK-47. So that's the full rifle that we're going to be giving away next episode. So you guys
very cool.
Make sure you tune in and keep up the engagement on social media, Facebook, Instagram, shooting me your emails with suggestions for the show, things you want us to talk about, guests that you'd like to have on the show. For instance, let me go to my inbox real quick here. So, again, Nick Dooley, he's got some emails in here. Ty Spence, Jason Farmer, Jacob Rozeski, Austin, all the guys that I name. I mean, again, they're not just doing the social media stuff. They're sending emails. They're sending suggestions for the show, sending in people they like to have on the show. Austin says, guest idea. Howdy, Lefty. I would like to hear Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch on the show or the AK Korner. I've been watching videos and looking into his training courses. So is that somebody you've trained with, Brian?
He's one of the last people on my bucket list. There's a few, actually. The more I learn, the more I realize I need to train with more people. But Clint is he's a national treasure, and people have been making noise about him not being relevant. And good Lord, he's amazing. Yep.
Ooh.
So I definitely plan on training with him, and he does an AK class every year, urban rifle with AK specific. And that's likely what I'll be taking first. But gosh, he's got handgun courses. He's got a high angle precision rifle. He's got a real nice facility out there.
Yeah.
Only bummer, 5 miles from California, which makes me nervous. But whatever.
Well, I mean, they're pretty famous out there at Thunder Ranch, so they do a lot of stuff.
Huge pedigree there. I mean, he's a direct disciple of Jeff Cooper, so. There's real history there.
Well, if I can find a connection to him, I will definitely reach out and see if we can't get him on the show, guys. That sounds like a good suggestion. Yeah. Jacob Rozeski, AK in 308. So he sent a little video here, military leaks video. So there's a video here. And it's loud as all get out. Let me turn it down. You probably can't hear it, can you, Brian?
I can't hear it at this moment, but
okay. So basically, it's showing a 7.62 by 5.1 AK-103 is what it's called. I guess this is one of the new Russian rifles, Russian military.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but Vepers have been made in 7.62 by 51 for a number of years now. So that's a thing you can get. Yep.
Okay. It says Kalashnikov Group demonstrated new assault rifle prototype 7.62 308 AK-308 at the International Military Technical Forum. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yep.
So, I mean, you lead heads, you're keeping me informed. I love this. So, keep them coming. That's just an example of some of the stuff that people are sending in. Here's an AK topic question. Hey, Lefty, have a topic I would like to hear more about on the AK Korner. I would like to hear more about ways to attach suppressors to the AK platform. So that's something Brian and I were just actually talking about off air a little bit, and that's coming.
Yeah. And the short answer, if I may,
yeah, go ahead,
is that the 1775 is ready for a dead air suppressor or a silencer co-suppressor. You can just strap one on and go to war with that puppy. For reasonably high quality AKs, the dead air Wolverine will work. The way that it's designed, there's a big problem with getting the two. You can imagine like putting one drinking straw in line with another one. You need those two straws lined up perfectly so that you don't have the bullet hitting the inside walls of the suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And the dead air Wolverine, the way they solved that problem is that the baffles have successively larger openings so that they form a cone.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have bad threads. The big problem is that the threads on the outside of a lot of AK barrels aren't done right. And so they're cockeyed. And the Wolverine, you can strap onto pretty much any AK and have it run. And it's a really cool suppressor. And,
Cool.
We're going to have a guest, or you're going to have a guest that can speak precisely to that. But the 1775 is ready for war with the suppressor.
Yeah, so we've got two experts lined up. We're going to get Jomo with Atlas Defense, and then, of course, as Brian just alluded to, we're going to get Dead Air. Was it Mike Pappas?
That's correct.
Yep, Mr. Mike Pappas with Dead Air to talk more about that, to go in depth. So that's just a little taste of what we're going to be talking about right there. So very cool, good question. Who was that from? Hold on, I didn't say who that was from, did I? Jason Farmer. So Jason, thank you for sending that in. And one more, Chris Wiseman. And he actually reached out to us through our website, which I don't recommend you guys do that, but you can. It's easier if you just send us an email directly, talkinglead@gmail.com, put in the subject, AK Korner. Chris says, how do I register to win an AK through the AK Korner? Well, Chris, obviously you're not listening to the podcast. So that's number one right there, brother. You got to listen to the podcast, because I tell you what you got to do. So you guys got to be engaging. I just went through the whole list of everything you got to do. So, Chris, if you're listening to it, you're not listening close enough to the show. So that's probably why I've not called your name yet. But thank you for the question.
He is engaging now.
He is engaged. He engaged me through that. But you got to be a listener to the show, because I don't reach out to you guys and let you know that you win. You got to hear your name and you got to get in touch with me. So if you're if you're a listener to the show and you're like, man, I never win, well, maybe you should go back to some episodes. You might have won something, but you got to listen to win. That's key. That's number one. All right, so that brings us to the end of another episode of the Talking Lead AK Korner, presented by Pioneer Arms Corp. Make sure you guys go check out Pioneer Arms Corp. Show them the love on the social medias, on their website, and you can go order the AK through them. Get in touch with them. If you don't win one, you can buy one.
One thing that I just wanted to say real quick, and you were talking about social media engagement and everything. If you guys want to get in touch with me and ask questions, I monitor, and I'm the sole publisher on Instagram and most of the Facebook posts. If you want to make a comment, please do so on Instagram. I do have one of my engineers monitors the Facebook posts, but if you want to get it from the horse's mouth, please just comment in Instagram, and I service that several times a day and try to post every day. So really would enjoy talking with you guys about liberty and self-improvement and guns and all kinds of good stuff.
There you go, guys. You just got a personal invitation to reach out to Brian. Hit him up. Send me your questions too, but go directly to the source, like you said. He's not shy.
No.
But we're gonna have more Brian on. This isn't the last that you've heard from Brian. We're gonna be doing some projects with Brian in the future. So Brian, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on, sharing your experience, the training course that you went through there with Haley Strategic Partners and with Jim Fuller. Jim Fuller was there too. That was like an added bonus. Wasn't expecting that at all. So.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Could I give him a real quick plug?
Yes, please do. Yes.
His AK builder class is 3 days of instruction from the Michelangelo of American AKs. It's where I built my first AK. He's taught me most of what I know. Been really good to me over the years. He's a great man, great American. And so you get 3 days in the classroom with him. You get to fire full automatic weapons and go to the range, learn how to shoot a little bit. and then you get to take your gun home with you that you built with Jim Fuller.
Yeah,
and
worth every
all
penny.
all of that is, I think, $1,800 or something, and that might sound expensive, but you get a $1,200 to $1,300 AK out of the deal, and 3 days of class, plus getting to hang out with the legend, like
With the
it's just
legend.
a deal. Yeah.
It's amazing. So, yeah, you guys definitely go show Jim some love, show Travis the love, let them know that you're lead heads. I'm not saying you're going to get anything out of it, but you might, they might throw you a bone. Who knows? Like Travis alluded to in our earlier interview, too, there's a little collaboration maybe or maybe not coming from maybe the likes of the people that we've had on the show today.
Yeah, they are really cool guys, and yeah.
That's all we can say about that right now. But
Yep.
but rest assured, because Talking Lead is the podcast for exclusives, you'll hear it here first. Or not.
Oh, no, totally. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
There you go. I just need a little
yeah.
reassurance there.
Yeah. No, I mean, we announced the Merc, not the Merc, the ODS-1775 on your show, and now this thing that may or may not be happening.
That's right. That's right.
Shoot, man.
All right, guys. So until next month, make sure you do all that dry firing practice that Brian's told you about. Check out Haley's Strategic Partners, OCCAM Defense, and of course our good buddy Jim Fuller over at Rifle Dynamics. Brian, thank you again so much.
Thank you, sir. It's been an honor and a real pleasure. Enjoyed, hanging out with you here, and thank you for your time and for your listeners' time. I know, you have many choices in what you put in your ears, and I do appreciate you giving me your attention.
I like that. It was good. Perfect. That's how I'm going to end it. That was good.